Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic Podcast. I have a real all-star lineup today. I have three amazing heavy hitters in the field of ufology and disclosure. I have with me starting off with James Rink. I have James Rink as a super soldier, a meditation practitioner, researcher, author, and video producer. Through his Super Soldier Talk YouTube series, he has helped awaken humanity to the secret activities of the covert government and the alien reality. And I also have with me Drago Reid. Drago is a polymath, an adept researcher, and a deep dive investigator with over 2 decades of study in the fields of ufology, astrobiology, exopolitics, consciousness, quantum physics, and mechanics, and philosophy. He's an adept at everything. And Laura Eisenhower, everybody knows Laura as well. Laura is the great granddaughter of oh wait, why can't I? Okay, Laura is a global alchemist, researcher, and medical intuitive and astrologist. She's an internationally acclaimed speaker who has presented her work worldwide. Laura is the great granddaughter of President Dwight David Eisenhower, and she reveals exopolitical information about his administration, which has been largely held in secrecy. I want to welcome everybody to the show and thank everybody for coming on. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Doing
Thanks for
good.
having us.
Really
Yeah,
awesome.
this was supposed to be the 1,000th episode, but so like I said, this will be like in spirit because I kind of already went past 1,000, but that's okay. This is the one that I wanted to be the 1,000th episode. So James, we thought about we bringing up the thing with the aliens in the mall. Do you think there's some validity to that? And whatever anybody else thinks too. If James wants to go first, like I don't know enough about it to be honest with you. I tried reading up about it, but it's I can't find a good information anywhere.
Okay. So I'm just gonna repeat what was in the video from an eyewitness. So this eyewitness claims that there were some teenagers in a mall, and they were arguing over this electronic device. It looks like a VCR type box, and one of the kids plugged it in, and then like this, I guess it was like waves of like a glow started to appear, and then it grew in size, and then it was like a digital looking um waves behind it. And everybody was like, I mean, once, and there were like lights were kind of flashing, and the people nearby all kind of like stopped and froze and stared at this portal that was opening up. And I'm thinking maybe this technology may have come from like a secret underground base that they needed a certain amperage to turn it on. They had to plug it in at the mall, I'm guessing. But
You think it's blue beam technology?
well, the eyewitness described what happened next. Like a leg popped out of the portal on the left side, um, or the right side, depending what the direction you're looking at. So it would be on the right side as you're looking at it. And then an arm popped out, and then like its whole body popped out, and it looked like a gray, one of these tall grays. But the eyewitness described it as there were no bones, as if the whole thing was flexible. And that's what some people have described. Some of these grays, they don't actually have any bones, some of them. But then they heard some gunshots going off, and like everybody scattered the crowd. But apparently these beings weren't even scared of the police or nothing. They just like they seemed like they were kind of lost, and they weren't like, I mean, they said they were dematerializing and rematerializing as people were running around, and one like rematerialized in one of the shops behind a window, like phased through the window. So I guess that's probably why they would bring in 100 police officers, and they're under gag. Well, they're told not to discuss it, but yeah, they're telling people there was a fight with some teenagers, and yeah, and then there was that. Did anybody see that video with the tall looks like a giant with like a light on top of it? It's like
I
looks
didn't
like
see that. But what I was going to say, James, is it's weird. I would like to get anybody else's thoughts too. It seems like this year, like 2023, as we're going into 2024, like aliens have like really been coming into like the mainstream reality. There was the aliens in Vegas thing where they supposedly landed in those Hispanic people's backyard. Then there was the aliens in Peru. and now there's these aliens at the mall. I wonder what it all means. If it's totally unrelated, or if it actually means something bigger. You know?
So what I think is going on is these other beings, um, they are going to be doing more of these encounters to kind of wake the public up. Um, I wouldn't say this particular type of being would. It didn't seem like it was negative. It just kind of like it seemed like it was lost. So if we see more of these counters, I wouldn't necessarily say they're negative encounters, but yeah, be prepared to see this increasing in intensity.
Yeah, Drago or Lord, do you guys have any thoughts on what's going on?
I haven't heard anything personally about the alien in the mall, but you're right, James. I believe that a lot of this stuff is being proved because you have David Grush coming forth and all this stuff all at once, and they're actually putting it on the news for the first time. It's not just like it's a light in the sky kind of scenario. They're literally having other police officers say that they were in the area when it happened in Vegas, and they had video through body cams of the ship coming in and crashing in Vegas. And then suddenly out of nowhere, you have these beings appear in this backyard. As for the mall stuff, I didn't hear anything about that, but man, that's some interesting stuff, especially if it involved that many cops. What state did that happen in?
It was in Miami at the Bayside Mall. So
Oh
this,
wow, that's a huge mall, man.
okay. So it was on January 1st. So it only showed up on the, I guess, trickled onto the internet around January 4th. So it just shows you like it seems like there was even some suppression and even that. Um, the eyewitness was describing because you would think that's maybe somebody would get videos and footage. Apparently there is a picture, and I can share it if you want to see it. Robert, can I share my screen?
Oh yeah, let me give you. Let me hold on. Let me give
Well,
you.
look, okay.
Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah.
So I posted this on my blog last night. I don't know. It seems kind of sketch. I mean, guys, does that look like, it's like supposedly that was some security footage. But then over here on the left, this is you can see the size of the cop cars, and then this beam supposedly just shows up wherever this pavilion thing is here. And just you see a light on top. So anybody,
You know what? You should there's an AI resolution thing. We can actually put that grainy photo into an AI reformatter and it'll clean all that stuff up big time. I've been experimenting with old photos lately with AI stuff, and that stuff is next level, man. So we can definitely do that.
all right. So let's see here. I posted some stuff on my Twitter. It's all basically, yeah, like here's the footage. I don't know if you want me to post any. Okay, here's this guy. Mo, he says, I was at the Miami Mall yesterday and the government is lying. There were no kids fighting. Everyone started panicking because these gray creatures were walking around. They didn't make any noises or sounds, but stared and watched you move. I tried to make a video. Let's go on here. Let's go on here. Okay. Every time I would try to do it, it would just bug out. They set up a perimeter and wouldn't let anybody out or in unless they went through their photos. We were visited by aliens and the government is covering it up. They were about 6 to 7 feet tall and walked very slowly. They could turn their heads around completely and seemed like they could change forms, like they didn't have any bones and could bend their body in whatever direction with no, okay, let's go in here. They could also seemingly teleport. They weren't walking around normally, but instead disappearing and then quickly reappearing somewhere else. This allowed them to walk through some of the glass displays in the mall and through the walls. You couldn't escape if they wanted to kill you, but they didn't seem aggressive, nor did they seem like they wanted to kill anybody. It seems like they were lost, but they were scared of the army. Were not scared, rather, of the army or police that was all around. They must have felt like they were far superior, or they're probably in they're like another dimension. They grounded all flights for a period yesterday on the 1st. They shut down police scanners in the Miami area for hours. It wasn't intentional. They had no choice. Whatever these creatures are interfered with electronics. Why is there no video of this fight they were talking about of the kids, supposedly teenagers? This was posted earlier. I cannot verify its authenticity. All I can say is that it looks very similar to the others reportedly saw no fingers or legs, and anatomically consistent with a being that glides as opposed to steps. So supposedly the being was kind of, I guess, levitating, not really walking, gliding, whatever. Okay, so all right, now you can go check out. I can maybe pull this one up real quick.
This is fascinating. I didn't know this case was this deep. I really had no clue.
Yeah, takes me over to TikTok. I get anxiety every time I go on that website. Let's see here. Okay, so there was another video somewhere around here. Maybe it was on this TikTok one. Because he's just discussing, he's calling his dad is a police officer, and his father says he's not allowed to say anything. And they won't even comment about why they had to send 100 police. They're not even allowed to comment about that either. But I thought I had the video. I'll go look for the video of the actual giant outside. So y'all go ahead and just talk a little bit, and I'll look for that.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you guys think, Warren, Drago? Do you think we're like this is the year for disclosure? I mean, I think we already kind of have disclosure, but like it seems like people still want it, like with Grush coming out and everything like that. Like, it seems like people still want that like official sign of like, that the government tells us that they're real. But what do you guys think?
I think that waiting on the governments is not the best thing to do. I feel that a lot of deception moves through the governments, depending on, not everybody is going to be a part of the deceptive aspects of it, but there's been many abductees, many contactees, many people coming forward, tons of books written, lots of documentaries, more than, gosh, more than enough to bring about a certain level of disclosure that people should be, acknowledging. I mean, it really has to come from the experiencers and the people. The governments are going to potentially distort it, push a false narrative that some of the plants within the disclosure community would be steering or supporting, maybe unknowingly. So I think it's all out on the table to discern, and that's the most important thing. So when it comes to these sort of news stories, it is very important to investigate further, like Drago said, to put it in this like ability to sharpen it or look even closer. I feel that the geoengineering or the things that have been sprayed in the sky is connected to holographic technology, and also the way that blue beam is going to be used. If you look at the Hunger Games and saw that kind of net encasing the like what seemed to be nature, it wasn't really like natural events. I mean, fires were created, different things would come out of nowhere that seemed, totally real. And I do feel that technology is being used. When we saw 9/11 with those planes, some have said that those were holographic planes. It weren't even real planes, so I think that we all have to just be very much the detective and dig deep. And I know that this kind of show and all of us here and many that are listening have that kind of mindset, but disclosure's already like happened, but it's an ongoing conversation. It's not just an end all be all with the government saying this or that. Everybody needs to just be a part of this larger conversation that has expertise to be sure that we're looking at it from every angle, what the narratives are, and that we really work on discernment. I mean, lots of new books are coming out, and like James said, more events like this are going to be taking place. And, they can easily, have actors and people that pose as, certain characters, because they've been watching us this whole time. They know we're looking for the whistleblowers. They know, what we're kind of looking for. And the level of deception and being able to dupe people is at an all-time high. So hopefully people will stop waiting on the governments, realize disclosure is already here, and that the greatest disclosure is us doing what it takes to upgrade our DNA, move through the great initiations and growth periods that are available to us, and just make sure that we're working on ourselves so that we can have the discernment that we need, that our intuition is functioning, our gut instinct and bullshit meter. And then, but I think it's going to be a big year for a lot to come forward.
That's interesting. Do you think, like, we'll go quick before we get into this image, James? I was going to say, Laura, do you think our DNA we are getting upgrades, or do you think over time we've been degenerating, or is it kind of a mix between both, depending on who it is you're speaking of in the population or in the collective? Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say?
That's a great question. I think it's definitely both. I feel like our consciousness can upgrade, but sometimes our physical vessel cannot match it. Maybe it's just has too many toxins. Perhaps it's just overloaded with spike proteins or whatever that happens when you put these things in your body. That can be detox and de-weaponized, I feel, when our consciousness begins to move beyond the indoctrination in the programs. I feel that the higher consciousness creates alchemy, transmutes, is able to clear this and recognize it as foreign energy or substances or material or heavy metals or whatever, that with the help of taking the right things into our body, we can begin to release. So I feel, the upgrade happens in our consciousness. The physical can catch up, but we have to make sure that the physical vessel is at a good place to be able to integrate and assimilate the light codes coming in and the different planetary aspects that they weaponize and create psyops in knowing that these events are going to take place, to write a script or a psyops that will harness our energy and cause us to be in fear or give our power away, which definitely is a path of digression, which to me, we're bifurcating away from, with sort of a bridge that keeps us connected as we're still in service to those that might benefit from what we have to share.
That's interesting. So do you guys think there's like a negative alien agenda? Like, I mean, besides like all this bullshit that the government's pulling, like, it seems like they don't want us to know about all the abductions that have happened in the My Labs and, you know, all the secret programs people are being used in. But do you think there's like a actual negative alien agenda? Like, I mean, from all the evidence that we have and like all the stuff you talked about, Laura, all the whistleblowers coming forward and stuff, because it seems like the community split over people that think that the aliens are more positive and they're here for our, you know, consciousness advancement, and then some people seem to think that there's more a negative alien agenda. Like, whoever wants to answer, I just kind of thought that would be
I'll
a
just
good
say there's
topic.
both and hand it over because I just talked. Yeah.
I agree 100%. It is both. Like, everybody that don't understand, there's different sides and there's extreme compartmentalization going on both sides. So no one has the answer to what's going to be happening in the future. Anybody who says that they have the answer and they know what's coming, I bet you the date and time they say it's going to happen, it's going to pass. I've watched this community put out so many dates for the last, I don't know, 20 years straight. And I don't think almost a single time, I don't care who you are, I don't care who you connected to, what group you're with, how big of a headliner you are, most of all the predictions have all been wrong. Even the whole Q thing, all this stuff was supposed to happen and it didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
we see stuff happen, we'll be able to control from that moment on. The floodgates will open, and the only scenario is to release the ET agenda. You know, Werner von Braun, he told Carol Rosin on his deathbed, stage 3 is a fake alien invasion. We're going to have all these countries. The step 2 was we're going to have all these countries commit terrorist acts inside the United States. We're going to invade them, blah, blah, blah. That's stage 2. Stage 3 is the Project Bluebeam. But so many people know about Bluebeam now, it's ridiculous. So almost all ufology knows about Bluebeam. So if they attempted to do it, it could still work even though we know it, because can you imagine the public's reaction if they think SSP craft in the sky and TR3Bs that's cloaking themselves that look like foreign craft or something like that? It's going to freak everybody out. They're going to beg the government. It's the Hegelian dialect again, problem, reaction, solution. They're going to create the problem. We're going to beg them to save our lives from these freaking ETs. And then basically they're pretending they're the evil ETs and it's our own people killing us. So I don't know, man. Disclosure. We've had people testifying in Congress for so long. Everybody's focusing on David Grush. Why? For the last 20 years, we've had whistleblowers in Congress bring this information out and nothing happened of it. Nothing. It went more underground every single time. And they released public stuff like the Tom DeLonge ATIP program kind of stuff. You know, it was just like the superficial kind of page 1 of a classified book, but you're not allowed to go past page 1. So I think that's where we're at. I think we need something has to major happen to the United States, because the United States is the last stronghold of the world. If we fall, the whole world falls, and the world knows it.
Yeah, that's really well said. James, where do you think we stand from like a secret space program perspective? Like what's going on with that? And like, what from what you hear?
Well, I think disclosure needs to take place sooner than later. There's a what I think they were wanting 2080 to release all these records. And the problem with that is whistleblowers are sharing their testimony. And basically, I think we're creating an issue for them where we're actually pushing their hand. And I think we're all doing a really good job at it too. So there are certainly are positive and negative ET groups, just like positive and negative humans. I would think our own species is probably more of a problematic than these other extraterrestrial beings, but we're all learning in this process, and we have come a long road because I've done a lot of interviews with we have Jimmy Payne, and he's discussed about what the multiverse would have looked like with with the South winning the Civil War and the Nazis taking over Europe and basically the United States being splintered in two, the Confederacy and the Union. So we have had, I believe that there is a greater divine plan that uses Montauk and the time travel and the temporal war to create the most optimal reality, even though it does seem difficult right now because we were never supposed to have, when we had the Confederacy, we never had an IRS or a Federal Reserve, and people had lots of money, but but technology was slower. So our rate of technology, of course, is everything is, in my opinion, I think everything's going to be fine. I know we have some people think there's going to be a nuclear war. Jimmy Payne through Montauk went into the future, and the way it actually takes place theoretically, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the United States dollar implodes, and suddenly the United States fractures into many city states, and in all the chaos, a certain group of terrorist cells seize the nuclear stockpile, and then the Chinese invade and nuclear war. So what I'm hoping for is we'll have a timeline where ET will show themselves, and I've had people remote view the future, and I know, well, for instance, Kusal, he gave a date of March. Oh wait, no, he said, did he say March? But another guy, he's in contact with the Federation, and he tells me that they're going to do it by, oh, he said March, and Kusal said April, something like April 16th or 19th. I have to go back. But another lady years ago, almost more than a decade ago, I had her remote view the future and to see what first contact would look like. And what she saw was a levitating city ship, an empty city ship. Basically, they exist right now, but they're like in a higher dimensional frequency. So I think these ships are going to come down, and people can enter them and get healed in their med beds. And so there won't be actually aliens on there. So yeah. I think and when I was showing you earlier, I was abducted by the brown mantis in the my lab. They're really interested in my DNA. They take my DNA and sell it on the black market to make clone bodies. Also experiment on them. But I really want to show this because I might forget if I can I share my screen again?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to
Okay.
see it.
So what I did is I went on Google Maps just to confirm, because I was thinking that this, okay, I can't share that. Oh, let me do this one here. So here's the torch of friendship. So that's not what we're looking for, okay? In that video, remember you saw this light on the top. But what I want to show you, let's get out of here. And I'm going to share this again. I'm going to bring the video back up. Okay, so let's bring it down. Okay, so right here, can you see my cursor on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's something moving along here, Of course, the helicopter won't hold it steady, but that is the creature is what we're supposed to be looking for. So take
Oh
what
my
you,
God.
yeah, and it seems like there is something. Oh, maybe that's the shadow right there. It's probably the shadow.
I see it. I see it moving. That's like insane. Like it looks like a huge, like it looks like something out of Ghostbusters. I mean, except it doesn't look fake. It's like it's like something like there's like 1,000 cop cars and like it's I don't know what to think. It's amazing. Like
So this is just the beginning. They want to, like I said, different ET want to push the hand to the cabal because we're supposed to have disclosure a long time ago with the Nasara passed by Congress in the year 2000, and here we are 24 years later. So we've got a lot of work to do.
well, yeah, it seems like it's you said it's they said or someone in this group said it's the humans that have the problem. It's like we've been getting screwed over since like the Patriot Act was like the first sign that they started taking our freedoms away, and then they've used every incident since to take a little bit more of our freedom away. So it's like how do we combat that? It's like I don't know how. With the country so divided. And I think disclosure would bring that, though. I think maybe if people, like Reagan said back in the day, he said if we were presented with the threat of an alien race, like people would come together. But then that's, I guess, why they would use blue beam against us as well. So it's like they're tricky bastards, man. The government, it's I don't know. Does anybody else have any thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to those positive and negative. I mean, I like to kind of break it down to something that is relatable, or else it gets really overwhelming. And, I kind of bring it back to the metaphor of, this dependency bond with the system, the problem, reaction, solution that Drago's talking about, and the level of trickery and deception. I mean, we almost have to kind of hit that breaking point or hit that rock bottom to really begin to detach and remove ourselves from being corded into it or being the energy bodies that get siphoned and get infected with these propagandas or false narratives that enable the very thing we don't want to see. We keep calling them the powers that be, but actually we're the powers that be. They're the ones that have stolen our power through harvesting and siphoning it and using it to their advantage in whatever way, through the false light and through the fear tactics of the dark. As long as it's polarized and it's not coming into integration, we're on one side or the other. And that's why people rebel from religion and then they turn into like Satanists. and it's just all these extremes that we're dealing with. And I feel disclosure is no different. The benevolence has a lot to do with the White Hats, the Earth Alliance, the Guardians, and different benevolent groups that have made it very clear that I feel influence Eisenhower's final speech is we need a knowledgeable and aware citizenry. And here's the big warning. And it's so multi-leveled. And, the things that got out of control and the things that have been infested and infiltrated are every power structure that exists, that our children are plopped in front of, that we were raised on as well. And I feel we're the greater immune system of humanity when we live in our truth. And we hold the template of the true planetary grid network that's been manipulated. But when we can cut the cords and like leave it to just expire because it doesn't have anything to feed on anymore, I feel we get the authentic experience of everything. And when certain individuals in certain projects were given chronovisors to look through, it was dependent on the consciousness of the person looking through it. Looking glass technologies weren't able to read anything past 2012. And even the Aztec calendar shows after the fifth sun, it's really up to the consciousness of humanity and the individuals to determine what that future is going to hold. And that's why I feel the manipulation is stronger than ever, because that's all they have left, is to manipulate our minds. They always have been, but they've been grooming us to prepare us for the new world order that many people are consenting to, that is multi-leveled as far as all the different things are pulling out of their hats, the pandemic, alien stuff. And we have to just understand that when we recognize our self-worth and the truth of it without it being manipulated.
Well, I was going to say, do you think it'll be not easy, but do you think it'll be capable of the the collective to realize their self-worth when we've been so beat down. It seems like, I mean, like maybe some of the people, a lot of the people in our community could, but like the world is a different, I mean, you know what I'm trying to say? Or is that
Well,
not
that's
making
healing
sense?
centers, rehabilitation, so us that recognize where and how they've been targeted. We survived it, right? We're rebuilding from the stigmas that were thrown at us, and still the smear campaigns that we need to provide the resources to help those individuals recover their true authentic self-worth instead of the groomed version.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good point. Yeah. Does anybody else have anything? Drago, did you have anything to say about that?
No, but I can add that what we need in the United States is people need to understand the United States is one of the most corrupt governments on the planet. I was programmed for the longest time to think that our government was like the good guys. And then you start doing art in some way, but they also need to be free to exercise whatever they want to do without oversight, as long as they're not committing crimes. Like the foundation of law says if you don't commit bodily damage or private property damage, there's no crime. And that's provable at all higher courts, no matter what it is. But I just want a government small enough to fit inside the Constitution. That's all I want.
Yeah, it would be great if we had something like that, like instead of like, because it seems like you said, it's like it's completely corrupt, and like and as soon as anybody gets into politics, it's like it seems like it like there's not many real ones, you know what I mean? Like there's not many good ones, it seems like. I don't know. I just have I've lost kind of all faith in and any kind of like, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't seem like we're headed.
Every amendment that I've ever seen, and the amendment that I've been seeing the most they've been violating is the Fourth Amendment, meaning all your private information, your medical history, everything about you. All these corporations, they have everything on us. All of our Facebook profiles, all these apps, they're all designed to, they know everything about us. They know what sets us off. They know what makes us happy. They know what we look at, because a lot of these websites that we use with these apps, they get to access and look at what we're looking at. That is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. I'm sick and tired of being an American where we're supposed to be the most free country on the planet. Oh, true democracy. And it's not. It's two corrupt sides of a political system owned by one family. And if you don't get rid of both sides of it, where it becomes a republic, because a republic, you don't have these two contrasting sides. We haven't been a republic since 1871 with the Act of 1871. We've literally been, imagine being a country where you've been in martial law since 1871, where you had said earlier, we haven't had rights since the Patriot Act. It goes way farther back. It started in 1947 with the National Security Act. That's when, that was part of MJ1, MJ12's Allen Dulles.
Well, the unconditional surrender agreement under Truman, nobody talks about.
Yeah, no, like that's why me and you, Laura, we try to talk about it all the time, because we come across people all the time that doesn't know about the Capitol building flyover, where people thought it was aliens and it was actually just Hitler's craft flying over the Capitol building in 1952, and that was part of that.
You think that's what those DC flyovers were? Those were Nazis?
That is what it
It
was.
was connected to an unconditional surrender agreement.
That was
explain that a little bit more, can you? So like because like we might know. I think I know what you're getting at, but like the audience might not know. So like,
well, he gets to keep talking about 1947. Well, the laws or the top secret information above the president was signed into law, and everything was under the unconditional surrender agreement that included MJ12 being able to sign these agreements with the Greys, but that had already begun way before the 50s. The blame has been put on Eisenhower, and this is what I've come to discover from multiple sources, that it's finally like being put out there. So an unconditional surrender agreement, when the UFOs flew over, basically said that we surrendered to the Nazis, and everything since then has been the infiltration through different MK Ultra programs and different grooming techniques to create undetected program people that would be in positions of leadership. The presidency, politics, everywhere. And how that is, and these guys can say more about those, different projects. And
I'll just say Dan Willis. Yeah, I know you know Dan real well, Laura. And James probably knows him real well, and Drago. But like, I've had Dan on my show many times, and he talks about the Fourth Reich. He calls it the Fourth Reich infiltration into our mainstream media. Like he says after
Mockingbird and Paperclip. Yep.
Yeah. So, but it wasn't just Paperclip. Like they had like this worldview warfare plan where they had plans to infiltrate like our media, and they have done that. And I just watched I'm not trying to change the subject, but I just watched Sound of Freedom last night, and like, man, I'll just tell you, I was moved. And I know some people like in the conspiracy community, people are like, oh, Sound of Freedom's a psyop. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like it seemed like they were trying to be pretty genuine. I think they were just trying to say there's kids being sexually trafficked and it's fucked up. And like, here's a guy that made a difference about it. That's what I took away from it. Did anybody else see the movie yet? And I mean, cause I was like, I thought it was really good.
I saw it.
I got to see the screening in person and met Jim Caviezel, and it was really wild. What about you guys?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
We
that's
talked
amazing.
for a really long time. It was amazing. He talked about Passion of the Christ. He got struck by lightning and all these incredible stories. He was so personable. Yeah, it was in Vegas, the screening. So what about you guys?
Well, if you think about it, the legalization of propaganda started from our own military generals. It was actually U.S. Army Brigadier General David Sarnoff. He was basically the founder of NBC, a current Army Brigadier General. He was the chairman on the board of RCA, Radio Corporation of America. Then you have William S. Paley. He was the director of operations for psychological warfare, and he founded freaking CBS. So since we started movies in Hollywood, we had the United States government, current generals and high-ranking military controlling everything that we see, and it never ended. So the whole Operation Mockingbird, it's been going on since World War II. It didn't just start out of nowhere. We've all been lied to. Our parents were lied to. Our freaking grandparents were lied to. And all this is just starting to come out. Like, everybody's waking up now. Everybody's sick and tired of getting lied to, and it just never ends. It's like we see corrupt people left and right coming in and out. They take down pedophiles. They do this. More corrupt people take their place. There has to be a law set in place where if you get convicted or you take part in any of this, it has to be a death sentence or life in prison immediately. But just like Thomas Jefferson said, man, the tree of liberty has to be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. We have to get rid of all the people that control all these negative narratives, all these people that are blackmailed, where they won't allow certain bills to be released that actually out all this stuff. Come on, it's happening at the highest levels right now. I watch these congressional testimonies all the time, and they're like 20 or 30 hours over a weekend. I'm watching the whole things, and I've been watching these congressional testimonies for a long time, and all I see is cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up. It never ends. I'm sick of it, man. The world is sick of it. But the United States, we have to lead a charge, man. The white hats need to step forward. I'm sick and tired of all these people saying that the ETs are not allowed to come here to help us because it violates the Prime Directive. Sorry, Prime Directive does not allow another species to invade a planet, genetically edit those beings, then control them with slavery. That violates the Prime Directive. So they say, we have to rise up before they will come. That's all horseshit, man. They're allowing us to be murdered. They're allowing the cabal to uncover themselves, to out themselves at the expense of the world population. It's never going to end. There has to be a moment where no one will cross this line anymore. There has to be known in Sumerian tablets that they came in and they actually had to make hybrids to do this. You're like, people don't understand. If you read these tablets, it showed that the Draco had owned the earth. and they had basically leased it to the Anunnaki. And that's why they had dominion over all this stuff, because the Draco proved they were here before the humans. And that includes the Antarctic base, where Hitler was told through the Vril Damen that there's an ancient base that the Draco had, and it is very ancient. They haven't used it in a long time. And that's where the whole Operation High Jump comes from. And Admiral Byrd going down and our entire fleet getting destroyed by these German reverse engineered craft. Like, it's insane. And then Operation Paperclip, they install all of their top SS Nazi guys to run all of our corporations, to start hospitals, to start everything. When you find out that Joseph Mengele actually retired in the United States and he literally died in Hernando, Florida, once all this stuff was released, you figured out that Adolf Hitler didn't die in Berlin. He actually escaped, and they actually executed one of his doubles. That whole crap where they said they found his body and they cut off his penis, it was just a double. Every president has doubles. Every president has clones. The whole clone thing, they've been doing clones since the 1930s, just with the governments alone, because you couldn't have these world meetings with these presidents and these prime ministers, because a lot of them, they would kill each other. So they had to develop a way where they can meet each other and everybody get along. And if you killed something, you just rehome your consciousness right back. You know, it had to get to that level. And Paperclip allowed all the experiments with Germany and all of Mengele's stuff, and they brought it to the United States. One of the biggest programming facilities in the world is actually in Canada, right under Toronto, right under the University of Toronto. Coincidentally, where I'm brain farting, Jordan Peterson, he's a university professor there. Jordan Peterson is extremely intelligent. I think he would know that MK Ultra has a big investment in that university. I mean, does that make sense? So
Yeah.
if you understand, like, this is worldwide stuff, we have to uncover it somehow. It has to start with the governments acknowledging it. Like, if the United Nations are running everything and they're not allowing any G20 country to actually say ETs are here, there has to be a moment where it's not the United States president. It's not like in the movies, they say it's always the United States president stepping forward to announce to the world that ETs are here.
And James, we haven't heard from you in a bit, but just real quick, the fact that there's altars in a lot of these leaders needs to be considered. That's why people fall for the sincerity of some of them. And those that speak out are like a Kathy O'Brien or like a Derek who has 200 altars that is saying, I've been programmed and groomed to play a leadership role and I'm not going there. And people like Laura Worley that have been pulled back, who were whistleblowers of things like MK Ultra and satanic ritual abuse, that were pulled back into a ritual with people like Fauci there that said, you know, I felt like something was wrong and I was able to see through it. I'm not going to be this groomed person that they're wanting me to be. That seems benevolent. That's very easy to fall for. But when you look at the reptilian thing, we got to go back to Lyra, the supposed invasion of Lyra, and this whole kind of free will experience that we're having, and also the different root races, Polaris, Hyperborea, Atlantis, Lemuria, you know, and people saying the Genesis story was the beginning. So there's a lot of this is the beginning when it's really not. So I know we haven't heard from James and I want to shut up, but I just had to add that.
Wow, thank you all. Amazing responses here tonight. So could somebody please tell me what the question is?
That
happens to me all the
we're just
time,
all
man.
over the place.
Well, I can maybe comment about some. So Jimmy Payne is he said that he knew Josef Mengele, and in the concentration camps, some of the when the Allied forces were bombing the rail infrastructure in Nazi Germany, food was becoming more and more rationed in the concentration camps. So some of the Jews were part of these Draco bloodlines where they actually shapeshifted and became so creatures that were sucking like vampires kind of thing. So Josef Mengele was experimenting on those particular type of people. And so when Project Paperclip brought the Germans back into the United States, a lot of that research continued on. Of course, we know about Umbrella from the Resident Evil movies, Raccoon City. So the actual place was in Pennsylvania near Pittsburgh. It's actually called Raccoon State Park. Below there is a dome where they were experimenting on the zombie virus and resurrection technology. So they were able to successfully reanimate the dead. I could go on down
Wait,
this.
James, I
if
just
you
have to
want me
tell you,
but
I live in Pittsburgh. Like I don't, I gotta find
know
out where
about
this place is.
Raccoon State Park.
I gotta check it out. Like I had no clue that was here. I live outside the city, but you know, I still, you know, I had no clue about that. But one thing I wanted to add that I thought was really interesting is I've had a couple different women on my show that were like, they're experiencers of the programs. And I think you probably had them on your show too, that they've said that they've had interactions with Mengele, or they think they might have. They couldn't identify him for sure, but they thought that maybe possibly that it was him just because he had like a disturbing demeanor and he seemed like Nazi-ish. And it was around that time frame when they would have been experimenting on people. I think Olivia James is one of them. I think she was one. I can't remember. I can't remember who else, but I know there was a couple people. I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
That
Yeah,
were
it's
experimented by Mengele. So Max Spears, he's been spotted in Project Ibis. So I was also
same with Catspaw, right? There's a connection there with James Catspaw and Ibis too, right?
Yeah, he wrote a book.
exactly.
He wrote a book called Project Ibis.
So Project Ibis, they were trying to bond children, and they were basically cloned aspects of ourselves, but our soul was in those bodies, or they would put them in a cage with a particular animal that they wanted them to adopt their type of characteristics and to bond with these creatures. So in my box is more like it was kind of like a glass cage, but there was a brown spider in there, and they wanted me to bond with that thing. And the spider wasn't really a friend or foe. It just did its thing, and it's just part of creation, and that's basically about it. But yeah, so um, now a lot of these experiments, in my opinion, the cabal was aware of how advanced the Germans were, so they were also kickstarting their own programs, and they were also working through other corporations like Monarch Solutions, which operates a facility. Their dome is underneath Toronto, stretches out for about 100 miles. So yeah, we have a lot of planetary corporations that are running the scene. Monarch's been around for 10,000 years. They helped us win the Revolutionary War. And as a result, they kind of been given carte blanche to do whatever they want to with the mind control aspects. But I think what's going to ultimately help set us free is I think we're going to have probably have to have intervention, because it looks like we might go to a really nasty timeline if we don't. But yeah, so there you have it about the breakaway and the Germans here in this country under Project Paperclip and
How does that connect to Dark Fleet?
MK Ultra.
How's that connect to
Well,
Dark Fleet?
Darkfleet's been around for about 5,000 years, and they're called Darkfleet is because their ships are really dark color, but it's making it more scary than it actually is. Knocked off, and it's a name they like to call themselves, or night weapons, I think is a translation. But so the Germans, the Nazis in particular, were having orgies with certain viril dominants, and these Nordics had were racist, so they were putting their ideas on these susceptible Nazis to adopt these philosophies.
Are
And
you talking about Orsic and Alberon, or
well, I would say not. Well, they were more like Domins that were here on planet Earth, but I'm saying ETs. They were actually the SS were having orgies. Oh, hold on a second. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. somebody else talk. I gotta take care of this.
And Monarch actually comes from Atlantis. It actually stemmed from Atlantis. So imagine, just know that the Anunnaki, that Atlantis was an Anunnaki stronghold. It was actually Enki and his son Thoth that was running Atlantis.
But Aleister Crowley played a hand in that, right?
I heard some of those connections into that, and like he was involved in that, and he had reincarnated into this. And I also heard that he was actually a reptilian, and he would incarnate into that physical body, and that's why he took part in a lot of that satanic stuff. But they didn't call it Atlantis; they call it Tola, just like the Germans did.
I never knew that. That's amazing. Like, but wait, what's the connection with Crowley? I find that really interesting. Like, how did he have a connection to Atlantis? That's really interesting.
Yeah, there's a connection, like Dark Lord, like Black Magician, just and the whole Lamb, the Gray, and how this
Okay.
the Moonchild rituals, and it all carried on from the cataclysms of Atlantis and the manipulation of the Emerald Tablets. And he actually collaborated with Hitler and Winston Churchill, and was really called upon to begin to create, powerful individuals that would be sort of like, I think this is where sort of selling your soul originated. I mean, he came up with a really great tarot deck and like had a very strong knowledge of the occult, but was very much a part of these dark rituals and things connected to the Greys and the anti. I don't know. I bet Drago and James have more to share about that. I mean, I know a lot, but I wouldn't be able to articulate it as much as I've been able to sort of disseminate or understand a bit that is in my book. But yeah, Atlantean cataclysm. I could refer to my notes and come back to it, but I'm sure these guys have something about that. He played a big role in what others were learning about how to utilize the occult. Like I even feel like Mengele had something with that, and even Hitler. And the whole Moonchild thing was based in capturing starseeds or really advanced souls and bringing them in and like hijacking and like abducting them. I mean, we hear about alien abduction, but this whole Moonchild ritual and the whole Monarch had to do with catching a butterfly in the net that originated with the rituals that he was masterminding or a big part of. What do you guys know about that?
I know that the Moonchild rituals, they incorporate that in pretty much all MK Ultra programming. That's typically one of the required rituals to actually go through all that. And it basically opens all kinds of portals and stuff. And the kind of stuff they were into, man, it was all just demons and just it's basically they would open all these portals in order to try to get business advice from these demons. So you sacrifice a kid, you do these. It's kind of like Jack Parsons. He was openly doing these.
He was a student of Crowley's, right?
Yeah, part of the OTO, and he was doing all these things at Jet Propulsion Labs, where they were doing ceremonies, and they was calling on Babylon, the god, and they were sacrificing kids. Jack Parsons even wrote a book about it and tied in Aleister Crowley and all that stuff. So like, highest parts of our government are taking part in these rituals, and those groups are connected esoterically to a lot of these high-ranking politicians because they're part of those secret societies and fraternities and stuff. And like, it's to the point now where instead of trying to learn the truth about what is true, I look for symbolism. Symbolism tells me more than a human will do, because symbolism tells you all the truth. And it's to the point now, like, anytime I've come to the conclusion where I want you guys to pay attention to this. Whenever two major presidents or two major people meet, the most high-ranking person is going to come from the right side of the screen. You would see people like the King of England. He'll walk up and shake hands with someone lower ranking, and he always hides his handshake. And I just seen Trump do it, which was really odd. I watched him give a tiger paw handshake to Kim Jong-un when he actually met him in Korea. And I was like, oh my God, he did that on TV. And the thing to look for is most high-ranking people that are in these groups, because like most of the presidents are either a Jesuit or a Freemason, and it's typically required in some way. But I seen the tiger paw, and ever since then I can't turn it off. I look at everything now. So tiger paw is, I'm not even going to do the tiger paw, but he did the tiger paw to Kim Jong-un. But
Well, I heard that every president is related to, this is was different, kind of a different subject, but I heard every president, including Trump and Obama, are related to the Plantagenet bloodline, like which goes back to like the European kings, and then that goes even back further to Egypt, and then eventually Samaria, and that's like these bloodlines. Like, I don't know if there's any validity to that, or
I just gotta say one thing, just being in a presidential family, I really think Eisenhower's an anomaly. When the more I look into him, the more I look at my childhood and how it didn't involve a lot that you see. But I mean, if it's every president, I'm not sure. But I mean, this is Mennonite descendants, like farm boys, like, and you know, his mother Ida, you know, following the scripture, and they were just so sad when he went out to West Point. And then you see all the smear tactics, like he's this, he's that. But I've seen it like firsthand. So, but I do agree with what you're saying. I don't know if there's some connection with that. Maybe it was, but I mean, even his mother had half African-American genes, and that's where I get my dreadlocks and my afro hair. I mean, I feel like it was sort of an anomaly that they wanted to like sort of control, just like James is an anomaly that is busting down the secret space program. Drago's an anomaly. Like, you know, there's always going to be something that might not be. But I mean, the presidents before.
I feel like
I mean,
JFK would have been an anomaly too, Laura.
well, that was an Illuminati family, and I feel he absolutely was the darker side of what they might have been born into in order, you know. But then we see assassinations, we see them being heavily targeted. So maybe on a public level, they still look like they are compromised, but who knows, you know. I mean, I think Trump was the most vocal, and same with Kennedy as far as that.
Yeah.
Standing against it. I mean, man, Trump called it out like unbelievably. And same with Kennedy. So anyway, I'll shut up.
So
I don't think people were also, go ahead, James.
well, so Kennedy was coming up against the ET because he wanted to tell the public that they're all real. So there was about 17 shooters that day, and ultimately they took him out. So there was another alternate timeline where he didn't die, and it looked like there was some kind of nuclear war event that took place around the 1980s, something connected to maybe the Falkland Islands or Cuba. But you know, there's the multiverse is really quite complex. We could spend a long time going over all these different timelines, but what I like to do is I have some more. My friend just sent me a report. She remote viewed the Miami incident. Do you want to hear some more about this?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay. So, all right. So the incident in Miami was I guess, a mind-controlled experiment to test fear-responsive humans. The ETs were there physically and were also outfitted with portal tech to jump back to an underground facility. They were trained for the exercise. The results were being registered and monitored for assessment and future other exercises that will be taking place. The moon was registering the data gathered there. It was also working in concert with the nanotech that's already inside people. So let's see here. The children, I guess the teenagers that were involved, they were super soldier kids from a dome in Texas, it looks like. And these kids saw it as a game. They were on a mission, but their mindset was different. They saw kind of like a game thing. So let's see here. The ET saw it more as an exercise. They're planning on capturing humans in public. I guess the negative ones, they're hoping the power would go out. So it is that eventually humans will witness people disappearing through portals. When the Greys show up, there might be priming a fear dissociative response. Some bad aliens up there are hoping that the lights will go out, the grid going down, and then they can go hunting. I remote viewed potential timelines for 2024. I sense that the bad aliens wanted to start boarding people onto crafts while under mind control. I'm trying to avoid that timeline like the plague if it's unavoidable. I use whatever means necessary to keep innocent people on Earth and not in a craft full of grays. Best case scenario for this year is old Federation personnel get airborne again and mount a resistance and chase the retards out of our airspace. Guess the kids, they also had drugs on them, some kind of paralytic. The bad ETs were teleporting to the hangar with their craft. Looks like the dry run ETs that were there or on site were chosen. I guess that showed up at the mall. And they seemed happy there, like they're getting warmed up. The bad ETs were teleporting to the hangar with their craft. Oh, wait, I just repeat that. Okay. It looks like they're setting something else up. Whatever's next, VR is involved. And it has something to do with the nanos that are already inside people. That's it. So take what you want from that.
Who remote viewed that?
It's my friend Laureen. So I'm hoping she will be able to come on my show soon, but we'll find out. So
Yeah, I mean that's really, I mean, it sounds about right about what could have possibly happened, you know. That's yeah, I mean, who knows, right? It sounds about right though, you know.
Well, it would be simple to figure out what happened because legally anybody can do a Freedom of Information Act, get the body cam footage of what actually happened. And if that Freedom of Information Act gets denied, then that means it's only denied under a national security order. That means more than likely it did happen. But think about how many cameras actually captured what actually happened. You know what I'm saying? So if it's a test run and it's legit, then that means they're going to step it up and do something a little bit bigger than gauge the response to that. That's typically how it works. It's, again, right back to the Hegelian dialect. I would want to know how 100 officers mobilized and how fast they got to that location. Even though it's Miami, there's a lot of cops everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it would be one of those things where we would need to figure out if, was it organic? Did it happen? Did all the cops literally get that call last minute and they all showed up? Or was it one of those scenarios, kind of like a false flag thing where they all knew, well, they kind of knew an event would happen. They were prepared for a drill. They all came in all at the same time. And that's typically the MMO for stuff like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't have anything else to talk about. I was going to say, does anybody else want to share anything, or do you think we should just finish it up for tonight and everybody can tell everybody where they can find you and everything? And I don't know.
okay. So I don't can't think of anything else to share. I do these shows so often I get so anyway, but the point is, so if you like to learn more about my work, please visit Super Soldier Talk. I recommend you go on Rumble because YouTube has already deleted 12 videos and I've got strikes probably about 9 of them. So I've had to self-purge about 2 years worth of content during all the COVID period. So please subscribe on Rumble. If you want to learn more about the secret space program, get a copy of my book, Lone Wolf. It goes more into the planetary corporations and some of my own experiences as a super soldier. You can get that at my website, neologicaltech.com, and also get yourself a meditation cube to help you relax. And yeah, you can visit my nonprofit, healingsoulsurvivors.org, and make a donation. So the funds will greatly help because I like to, what I want to do is continue traveling around the country and interviewing people in person. I've already interviewed Laura in person and people were commenting that interview was one of the best interviews you've ever done, Laura. So thank you. And hopefully we'll get Drago on there. Drago, I want to get your name right. But and Rob, I'd love to meet you in person too someday. So
Yeah, we got to go check out that Raccoon State Park. You should come here sometime and we should check that out.
Okay. All right. We'll see what we can do. Yeah. In the springtime. Yeah.
Yeah.
James, thank you for spearheading and organizing all the super soldiers like no one's ever done. Like, you're the reason why we all got together. Like, there's no one that did anything bigger than you've ever done. So you need to know that, man. Like, I know you've had lifelong struggles with all this and the targeting and taking down your videos and stuff. It just means you're doing the right thing, man. So props to you for doing it this long. I know you're mentally tired and you're mentally drained, and this is a hard journey to have constantly without breaks. we all break down. Me and Laura always have a hard time doing all this all the time. Like we're human, man. So just understand, just know, man, you're one of the biggest primers for this entire movement, and just you need to know that. So
Yeah, I was gonna say Laura and James, you guys are both like I look up to both you guys, honestly. Like you guys are like big key figures in exopolitics, I would say, so thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rob, for your 1,000 episodes. Amazing work. You're going to be a legend. If not already, you're already a legend.
That's cool. That means a lot coming from you. Thanks. Laura, did you want to tell everybody where they can find you and everything?
Yes, and I feel that way about all of you. I'm so grateful to be co-hosting the show with you, Drago, and your incredible genius, wisdom, and Robert. 1,000 episodes and all that you're doing, 1,000 plus. And yes, James, oh my gosh, everything that Drago just shared, totally, absolutely. And I look forward to when we're all going to gather in person. And just, my website's cosmicgaia.org. I have a webinar coming up January 27th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific time. And it comes with, regardless if you're a subscriber or not, just a chance to book a check-in to see how the planets might be impacting you, with an understanding of how the planets have been manipulated, and kind of seeing it maybe through a different lens than maybe an astrologer that doesn't know this stuff. The 13th sign, and just how all these planetary patterns, for better or for worse, help us to get into that 0-point unified field and to find that neutrality beyond the madness, while also not losing touch with the higher levels of our elemental embodiment, so that our earth, air, fire, water, ether can function at its highest level instead of being blocked or inverted or contaminated. And this is how I feel we heal Mother Earth and we help the collective. So I try and keep everything updated as far as the events I'm doing. I do all my own tech stuff. It probably shows. I'm learning as I go. But it's been so much fun. What incredible questions. And we have a lot to look forward to in the face of a lot of madness, but we totally have it in us to be able to look at it, discern, and be that override frequency to write a much better script than the one being thrown at us, no matter how much from every angle we're being thrown a certain scenario. Let's be empowered to, write one that is true to the greatest calling that we hold, that comes from our soul and our connection to true creator source, not the lower creator gods that we've been played by for far too long, that one could call fallen. So we're the ones that can recognize that fallen aspect and get back up, because we inherit this. It's not outside of us. Let's do that inner work to redeem and resurrect and rise above all the challenges that we're being thrown, no matter where we fall on the spectrum of the challenge that is really hitting our ego, if anything. So thanks. It's been really awesome, you guys.
Yeah. And Drago, do you want to tell everybody where they can find you? And thank you, Drago. This was awesome.
Yeah, everybody can find me on fractaloflight.com, and you can look me up on Facebook. The spelling's on the screen. Other than that, Laura and I should be doing an alien event in April, and that's in LA. I think it's the 11th through the 13th. And then we have a James event, which is going to be amazing. Timelines of Disclosure. That's happening in July. And I think it's the 8th through the 11th. So we're trying to get that going.
I'm going to that event too in April, if it's the same one in LA.
Yeah.
12 to
We'll
13.
all three, but we'll be at the same talk for both of those events. So alien event I think it's alienevent.com, and then that separate Timeline of Disclosure, you should be getting a website up soon. And then definitely get some tickets, man. It's going to be some awesome stuff.
That's awesome. All right. And for me, guys, it's just Typical Skeptic Podcast everywhere. And I'll have links for everybody in the description. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And thank you, guys. And have a good night, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.